We are celebrating the disappearance day of Srila Prabhupada.
Valentina will be translating, and she's not co-host, so she cannot unmute herself.
I made her the co-host.
No, you made a different person. It's on you. Oh.
Yes? No?
Thank you very much.
We are broadcasting from Simhachala in Germany. Hi. Yeah, I have it on my computer. I'm going to try to clean the camera. See if that helps. Lighting is interesting. Okay. I think it's, this is my third class on Prabhupada's disappearance today, so. I wanted to talk about how a disciple deals with the disappearance of their spiritual master. So this is described in the Bhagavatam 4:28-47. And I think the king was it Puranjana? A king died. This is the story of a king. Was it Puranjana and his co-wives lamenting? Is that correct? Yeah. Yes. So this verse describes how they lamented the death of their husband, and Prabhupada compares it to how a disciple should lament on the disappearance of their guru. This is a very dramatic background here, isn't it? Except the Hare Krishna mantra is backwards. Everything's backwards. Can we change that? Hold on, we're going to change it. Everything's backwards. This is my left hand, should be my right hand. We're going to try to see if we can change it. Oh, they can see it okay. Oh. Only I am seeing it backwards. Okay. Okay. So we'll read the translation. So Puranjan has just died, and his wife is Queen Vidarbhi, is overcome with lamentation. Being now alone and a widow in the forest, the daughter of Vidarbha began to lament, incessantly shedding tears which soaked her breast and crying very loudly. You have the translation, Valentina? Okay. So Puranjan has died, and Vidarbhi is crying, shedding tears, crying very loudly. Figuratively, the queen is supposed to be the disciple of the king. Thus, when the mortal body of the spiritual master expires, his disciples should cry exactly as the queen cries when the king leaves his body. Like, so, we're taught that we should lament for the living or the dead. And when Prabhupada left the world, we were all very young. And so we weren't really sure how we should feel. Like, would it be wrong to cry when the spiritual master leaves? We didn't know. We were young devotees. I mean, we know how we felt, but we didn't know if those feelings were Maya or Krishna conscious. Interesting, isn't it? Gives you some insight into the nature of the movement in the early days. We were confused how to feel when when Prabhupada left. Now, something you may have heard Prabhupada's disciples say, and that's, we thought Prabhupada would never leave. And you're probably thinking, how could you think he wasn't going to leave? He was not well, 82 years old. What? That doesn't make sense. Well, we didn't think we could exist in Krishna consciousness, neither could the Hare Krishna movement exist without Prabhupada. Therefore, Krishna certainly would not take him away so early. We needed him at least another 20 years. And so we thought Krishna will just keep him around for us till we're ready for him, till we're ready to take over the movement. Krishna. Have any Russian devotees here? I'm going to turn up the volume for all the Russian devotees. We have Russian? No? Many Russians here? They don't like Russians in Germany, I think. Okay. We're going to turn the volume down. Ukrainians? No? I thought there's lots of Ukrainians and they're not here. Not yet. Okay. So we didn't feel ready for Prabhupada to leave, but then, of course, would we have ever been ready? And the answer is no. And the answer is, but you have to be. Because, in one sense you could say the spiritual master is preparing you so he can leave. In one sense. And the spiritual master is preparing you to be self-sufficient. And he's preparing you to be Krishna conscious enough that you can hear guidance from the Super Soul, from the Chaita Guru. So if the spiritual master can help you become purified enough to hear from Chaitaguru, then he has done his job, and you're good. Whether he's here or not, you still have guidance.
Если духовный учитель подготовил вас достаточно, что вы очистились до такой степени,
And,
что можете слышать наставления чакры,
and
тогда выполнили свою работу, и уже нет необходимости присутствовать здесь, потому что вы сможете дальше быть в сознании Кришны.
so Prabhupada was asked, when you leave, how will we get guidance from you?
Прабхупада спрашивали, когда вы уйдете, как мы будем получать ваше руководство?
And he said, from within the heart, I will guide you.
И он ответил, я буду вести вас из сердца.
And I will also come in your dreams and guide you.
И также буду приходить к вам во сне и
So,
вести вас во сне.
we were talking about how Prabhupada is present even today
И мы говорим также о том, как Прабхупада
For-
присутствует
for all of you.
для всех вас.
He can still guide you from within, and he can come in your dreams and guide you, and chastise you sometimes.
И он может изнутри вести вас, и также приходить к вам во сне, и также может вас отчитывать.
Hmm. When Prabhupada left, an interesting thing happened.
Когда Прабхупада ушел, интересная вещь произошла.
Initially, the movement expanded. Every year, it became bigger than the last year, up till around 3 or 4, 5 years. Those were the biggest expansion of ISKCON, were the first few years after Prabhupada left. Did you know that?
Вы знали, что первые 30
Yeah.
лет после ухода Шрила Прабхупады движение стремительно расширялось.
Because we all felt that Prabhupada has given the burden of spreading Krishna consciousness to us, and we have to now fit in his shoes and try to do what he did. So everything got better for a while.
Потому что мы чувствовали, что время распространения сознания Кришны Шрила Прабхупада дал теперь нам, и что мы должны попасть в его ботинки, и таким образом старались распространять как можно шире.
But we tried to fit in his shoes in the wrong way.
Но мы пытались как бы занять
Or maybe-
неправильно.
Maybe we overestimated our level of Krishna consciousness.
Может быть, мы переоценили свой уровень сознания Кришны.
And Prabhupada said, when the spiritual master leaves, there will be chaos. He writes that right in his book.
И в своей книге, в своих книгах Прабхупада пишет, что когда духовный учитель уходит, наступает хаос.
And I can say Prabhupada was 100% correct in saying that, because
И я могу сказать,
a few years later, yeah, it was very chaotic.
потому что спустя годы была очень хаотичная ситуация.
We weren't ready for Prabhupada to leave, but Krishna wanted him to leave. Or Prabhupada wanted to go.
Прабхупада, но Кришна хотел, чтобы он ушел, и Прабхупада хотел уйти.
Prabhupada tried to stay, he tried to recuperate his health.
Вначале Прабхупада пытался остаться и восстановить свое здоровье.
And in August of 1977, one of Prabhupada's disciples said, Prabhupada, I think, Prabhupada was very ill in Vrindavan. And they were trying to see if Prabhupada could recover, because if he didn't, it was obvious that he was going to be leaving his body. So Prabhupada was willing to try to recover.
И в августе 1977 года Прабхупада очень плохо себя чувствовал, и его ученики пытались понять, сможет ли он восстановить свое здоровье, потому что было очевидно, если нет, то он уйдет. И Прабхупада, он хотел попробовать восстановить.
So one of his disciples said, well, Prabhupada, if you go to the West for preaching, you'll become energized. Because he was very weak in Vrindavan, wasn't eating much, and Prabhupada said, yes, we should do that. And so with great difficulty he went to Bhaktivedanta Manor, 1977, August. Prabhupada left November 77, so September, like 3 months before he left, 2.5, 3 months before he left, he went to the manor. And then he was going to go to America to establish Varnashram on our farms. You like cars? When I was a kid, girls liked dolls. Now they like cars. Boys like cars. Yeah. But when he went to England, he didn't. He got actually worse. He couldn't recuperate. So he came back to Vrindavan, and there he spent his last few months. But he was still trying to fight it. He was doing everything he could, but at some point he couldn't fight it anymore. Yeah. So it's like, it's different now. If your spiritual master leaves, the whole movement doesn't collapse. And you have so many uncles and aunts to take care of you. Yeah. So, if you came to the temple, what's the day? The 17th? If you came to the temple, any temple, on November 18th, and you didn't know what happened, you would be in a state of shock. Because the devotees were all traumatized. Yeah. Yeah. So let's continue reading the purport. So Prabhupada said, the disciple should cry just like the queens when the king leaves the body. However, the disciple and the spiritual master are never separated because the spiritual master always keeps company with the disciple as long as the disciple follows strictly the instructions of the spiritual master. Now, I was saying this morning, there were some devotees who were very dependent on Prabhupada's personal association for strength in their spiritual life. And there are many devotees who didn't have much or any association with Prabhupada. So those devotees were already accustomed to serving in separation. So when Prabhupada left, it was, in a sense, it was different because ISKCON lost its leader, but in sense of the personal relationship, they had already become accustomed to associating with Prabhupada through following his instructions. And so they just continued doing that.
И таким образом, когда Прабхупада ушел, то, конечно же, движение потеряло своего лидера, а вот этих преданных, у них уже была привычка служить в разлуке.
And a similar thing happened with the disciples of Prabhupada's disciples when those disciples left their bodies or left Krishna consciousness. Those disciples who had developed a strong connection with Prabhupada and attachment to his instructions, they were not very much affected by the loss of their spiritual master because they had this deep connection with Prabhupada.
Похожая вещь происходила с учениками, учеников Шрилы Прабхупады, когда их духовные учителя оставляли тело или оставляли движение, то тех преданных, у которых уже была развито отношение со Шрилой Прабхупадой, они оставались в движении.
So, then you might be thinking, well, shouldn't I be dependent on my spiritual master?
Вы можете задуматься, разве же я не должен зависеть от своего духовного учителя?
Yeah, but how? How are you going to manifest that dependence?
Да, но как вы будете проявлять эту зависимость?
The greatest form of dependence is dependence on the instruction.
Высочайшая форма зависимости – это зависеть от наставления.
But if I'm dependent in an unhealthy way, then without that physical presence, I don't function well.
Но если моя зависимость нездоровая, тогда без личного присутствия духовного учителя я не смогу нормально функционировать.
So Prabhupada wrote so many books, and we could see those books as, this is how you will function in my absence. This is how you will stay connected in my absence.
Прабхупада написал так много книг, и эти книги говорят, вот каким образом ты будешь действовать после моего ухода, и таким образом будет сохраняться наша связь.
Let's continue reading.
Мы продолжаем читать.
So Prabhupada's saying, you'll keep company with the spiritual master if you follow his instructions.
Прабхупада говорит, что духовный учитель будет находиться рядом, если вы следуете его наставлениям.
This is called association of Vani, words.
Такая форма общения называется вани, общение через слово.
Physical presence is called Vapu.
Физическое присутствие учителя называется вапу.
As long as the spiritual master is physically present, the disciple should serve the physical body of the spiritual master. And when the spiritual master is no longer physically existing, the disciple should serve the instructions of the spiritual master.
Когда духовный учитель физически находится рядом с учеником, то должен служить его телу. А когда физическое тело духовного
And
учителя прекращается существовать,
so
ученик должен служить его наставлению.
your relationship with the spiritual master doesn't necessarily grow because you have association.
Если у вас есть личное общение с духовным учителем, это не означает, что ваши отношения
But-
обязательно будут расти.
But I think all the Prabhupada disciples would say that after Prabhupada left, our relationship grew deeper.
Я думаю, что все ученики Шрилы Прабхупады могут сказать, после того, как Прабхупада ушел, наши отношения с Прабхупадой углубились.
And the reason is because the only access to that relationship after the spiritual master goes, or when you're at a distance, is through serving the instruction.
И причина заключается в том, что когда духовный учитель уходит или
And,
находится на далеком расстоянии, то единственным доступом остается наставление.
and then you get to experience the presence, the spiritual presence of the spiritual master through following those instructions.
И тогда
So then the relationship, it takes on a different nature.
И тогда отношения приобретают другую природу.
The connection is actually deeper.
И связь поглубляется на самом деле.
And as I've said many times, that after the spiritual master leaves, you can only access that association through the Vani, the words. That's the only way you can get it.
И как я много раз говорила, после ухода духовного учителя единственный способ обретения
So,
общения с ним это только через Вану, через слова.
and so because it's the only way you get it, then those words become more valuable. Does that make sense?
Это является
Yeah.
единственным способом обретения общения, то эти слова становятся более ценными.
And if I want the association of Guru, then I have to listen and I have to execute the instruction, because that's the only way now I can get that association.
И если я хочу получить общение гуру, то я должен внимательно слушать и затем в жизни следовать наставлениям, потому что это единственный способ, каким образом я могу общаться с гуру.
And that's why for many devotees, their relationship actually got deeper after Prabhupada left.
Поэтому для многих преданных отношения с Прабхупадой углубились после того, как он ушел.
And I'm saying this to all of you because even though Prabhupada's not here, you can eternally deepen your relationship with him through his instructions, through following his instructions.
И для всех вас, несмотря на то, что Прабхупада сейчас здесь нет, вы можете вечно углублять свои отношения с ним, следуя его наставлениям.
And the Guru gives you many instructions, but when he goes, you tend to take those instructions more seriously because that's all you have.
Гуру может давать вам много наставлений, но после того, как он уходит, вы склонны, чтобы более серьезно относиться к этим наставлениям, потому что это единственное, что у вас осталось.
Now, some of you already have lost your Guru, so you know the pain of losing your Guru.
Некоторые из вас уже оказались в этой ситуации, когда гуру ушел, и поэтому вы знаете эту боль.
And it's one of the most painful experiences that you will ever experience.
Это одно из самых болезненных ощущений, которые вы когда-либо испытаете.
And the only way that pain is going to be relieved is when you realize your Guru never left. He's still present in his instructions.
Единственный способ утолить боль заключается в том, когда вы поймете, что ваш духовный учитель никогда не уходил, что он всегда присутствует в своих наставлениях.
Yeah. Now, it would really be good, even though you haven't met Prabhupada, if you can feel the pain of separation from Prabhupada. That would be healthy for you.
Для вас очень здоровым и очень хорошо было бы, если бы, несмотря на то, что вы не встречали Прабхупаду, вы бы испытывали боль разлуки с ним.
Because when you feel the pain of separation, then you want the association, and if you want the association, then you hear from him, and you serve his mission, and you get his association.
Потому что если вы испытываете боль разлуки, это означает, что вы желаете обрести его общение. Когда вы хотите обрести общение, то вы начинаете слушать его и служить его миссии, таким образом обретаете это общение.
And then you feel very close.
Тогда вы чувствуете по-настоящему его близость.
And that's why Prabhupada said that just because you sit close to the Guru doesn't mean you're close. A mosquito is sitting on the Guru's lap and simply biting.
Поэтому Прабхупада говорил, что если вы сидите близко к гуру, это не значит, что вы находитесь близко к нему, потому что комар сидит на коленях,
Yeah.
а у гуру просто кусает его.
Yeah. If Prabhupada was not accessible through his service and instruction, all his disciples would not be here.
Если бы не было доступа к Шриле Прабхупаде через служение ему и следование его наставлений, тогда бы здесь не было учеников.
If that were true, Prabhupada would have never come out of India.
Если бы это было так, то Прабхупада никогда бы не приехал в Индию.
So this is something I've seen devotees have a lot of difficulty with. The concept of separation, the concept of meeting, you're actually closer in separation than you are in presence.
И я заметил, что у преданных есть большие сложности с этой концепцией, пониманием того, что в разлуке встреча происходит даже сильнее, чем в присутствии.
One time I was leaving Mayapur.
Однажды я уезжала из
I
Майапура.
don't know, maybe it was a time when I had spent a lot of time there and I was leaving and the devotees were saying goodbye.
Может быть, это было в тот раз, когда я много времени там прожил, и я уезжал, и преданные пришли проводить меня.
And I said something maybe I shouldn't have said.
Может быть, я не должен был это говорить.
I said, Prabhupada said separation is sweeter than meeting.
Я сказал, что Прабхупада говорит, что разлука слаще, чем встреча.
They didn't want to hear that at all. I was upset them.
Совсем не хотели этого слышать, это расстраивало.
And I saw how difficult it was to appreciate that.
И я видел, как им сложно было оценить это.
But at least for you, in your association with Prabhupada, that's the only way you can get it.
Но, по крайней мере, для вас, если касается вашего общения со Шрилой Прабхупадой, это единственный способ, каким образом можете
Yeah.
обрести.
So as I was saying this morning, I don't think any of you should think that your connection to Prabhupada is any less than his own disciples' connection to him.
И как я говорил сегодня утром, я думаю, что никто из вас не должен думать, что ваша
Or-
связь со Шрилой Прабхупадой в чем-то меньше, чем
Or
его учеников.
that you can't become as dear to Prabhupada as any one of his disciples.
И что вы не можете стать настолько же дороги Шриле Прабхупаде, как кто-то из его учеников.
And I'll give you a little secret. We have this saying in English, like for some computer program, we have what are called power users secrets. You understand? You have that? Like it's like a secret to use the software and get more out of it. If you're a power user. Power user.
Выражение на английском, которое используется для пользователей компьютеров, что есть секрет.
So this is a power user's secret for your relation with Prabhupada.
Это такой секрет касаемо ваших отношений с Шрилой Прабхупадой.
Are you ready for it?
Ты готов?
The more you take up responsibility in Prabhupada's movement, the closer you will feel to him.
Чем больше вы будете брать на себя ответственность в движении Прабхупады, тем больше вы будете чувствовать себя близко.
Maybe we could compare it to a father leaving his children the business, and as they take care of the business, they naturally feel connected to him because it was his business that they're taking care of.
Это можно сравнить с тем, как отец, уходя, оставляет свое дело, свой бизнес сыновьям и, заботясь об этом деле, сыновья чувствуют близость с отцом, потому что это
Yeah. So if you especially not only take responsibility, fasten your seatbelt,
не только вы принимаете на себя ответственность, пристегните ремни,
but take responsibility for something that's difficult.
но брать ответственность за что-то трудное.
And then you'll feel even closer to Prabhupada.
Тогда вы еще ближе будете чувствовать себя к Прабхупаде.
Yeah. Of course, if you distribute Prabhupada's books, naturally you feel close. No question.
Конечно же, если вы будете распространять книги Прабхупады, естественно, образом будете чувствовать
So you may have your spiritual master, but also you have Srila Prabhupada, and you have that deep connection with him.
У вас может быть и ваш духовный учитель, но также у вас есть Шрила Прабхупада и глубокая связь.
But there's another side to this story.
Есть другая сторона истории.
Prabhupada felt the pain of separation from his guru.
Прабхупада испытывал боль разлуки со своим гуру.
Let's look at this contradiction.
Давайте взглянем на это противоречие.
Prabhupada said, I always felt the presence of my guru, but he said, I felt the pain of separation.
Прабхупада говорил, что я всегда чувствовал связь со своим гуру, его присутствие, но также он говорит, что я всегда чувствовал боль разлуки.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Это интересно.
What is it? Separation or not? I don't understand.
Что же это такое, разлука или нет, я не понимаю.
Prabhupada said, my guru is always seeing everything I do, so how could he be feeling separation?
Прабхупада говорил, что мой гуру видит все, что я делаю, каким же образом он мог испытывать
He was feeling the pain of the chaos that happened after, in the Gaudiya Math, after Srila Bhaktisiddhanta left.
Он испытывал боль от того хаоса, который происходил до Диагнати, после того,
So,
как Бхактисиддханта Сарасвати ушел.
so it's never going to be the same as when people say, well, can ISKCON be like it was when Prabhupada was here? Not exactly. Could it ever be exactly like that? That was special, for sure.
Как во время присутствия Шрила Прабхупады, конечно же, не может быть точно таким же, это было особенное время.
So we feel separation from the difficulties that fell on ISKCON after Prabhupada left.
Мы чувствуем вот эту боль разлуки из-за тех сложностей, которые начали происходить после.
You know, like if you go back to the 90s or 80s, the preaching in Europe was incredible. And then Prabhupada left, and then there were problems. And it never regained the strength that it had then.
А если вернуться в 80-е или 90-е, то проповедь в Европе была невероятной. После того, как Прабхупада ушел, начались проблемы, и так до сих пор не
That's true everywhere, not just Europe, everywhere. So then we feel this pain of separation.
не только в Европе, и поэтому мы чувствуем
And
боль.
how do you relieve that pain of separation?
И как же облегчить эту боль разлуки?
How did Prabhupada do it?
Как это делать?
He tried to inspire the Gaudiya Math to spread Krishna consciousness around the world. He tried to bring it back together.
Он пытался объединить Гаудия Мат и призывал Гаудия Мат проповедовать сознание Кришны по всему миру.
But that wasn't possible.
Но это было невозможно.
So he did the next best thing. He did what the Gaudiya Math should have done. He just did it himself and started his own organization.
Тогда он сделал другое, он сделал то, что должен был сделать Гаудия Мат, и сделал это в одиночку, создал свою собственную организацию.
So we can relieve that pain of separation by trying to help ISKCON, help the movement, correct problems, and establish a healthy society and establish more of Prabhupada's presence.
И утолить эту боль разлуки мы можем благодаря тому, что будем помогать искон преодолевать проблемы,
And
помогать установить здоровое общество и почувствовать присутствие Прабхупады.
do you remember Prabhupada made a Vyas Puja offering in 1932 to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta? Have you read that offering? Sometimes you'll find it in Vyas Puja books. It's there. And he said, a festival of fruits and flowers, which is Vyas Puja, does not constitute worship of the Guru. But yeah, because Prabhupada knew what the order of his Guru was and how it was being neglected. But they're celebrating Vyas Puja, so he's saying the real worship of the Guru is the worship or the following of his instruction. Yeah. So today's Prabhupada's disappearance day, and how can we worship Prabhupada in the best way? By making a resolve to better follow his instructions. By making a resolve to do more to share Krishna consciousness. And making a resolve to do something to make ISKCON better. And that will be the best worship and the best way to celebrate his disappearance day. Otherwise, we'll just hear some stories and we'll feel good and eat pakoras. But that's not the real worship. That's nice also. It's part of the festival. But not really the essence. Okay, so I didn't tell all of you that in 15 minutes I'm scheduled to give another class. And it's going to go on Facebook. It'll be streamed on Facebook if you want to join. But so we have 14 minutes left. So I will reserve this for questions. And we have about 20 devotees in the audience, but I'll give you devotees online preference. Okay. We have a question, how did Prabhupada, I'm very busy today, this is the third class. Then we'll do the fourth class and Damodar, and then we'll do the fifth class. Right? Where am I flying from? Munich?
Yes.
How long does it take to get to Munich? 3 hours. Oh, so I have to leave like 9:30. Okay. I'll give class tomorrow morning. Yeah. We'll give class tomorrow morning. Also, we'll broadcast it on Facebook. Then we'll give class at 4:30 to 4:30 to 5 to 6. 4:30 to 5:30. What is it? Who knows this guy? I forgot. 4:30 to 6:30? I forgot. Well, anyway, and then we'll have Damodar Astika, then we'll give class again at 7:30. So we'll all be on Facebook if you want. This is 7:30 time in Germany. So I think 4:30 to 6:30. And then 6:30, 7:30 kirtan, and celebrating Prabhupada's disappearance. He disappeared at 7:20, so we're going to do Pushpanjali, and then we're going to have another class at 7:30. Full exploitation. And then I go to Riga to get exploited there. And then Lithuania, get exploited there. Lithuania will be easy. It'll just be morning and evening. And then I go to Amsterdam. Semi-exploitation. I like to be exploited in Krishna service. Yes. How did Prabhupada plan to establish Varnashram? That's a question. We have a place in America called Gita Nagari. It's a farm. It looks like, if you go there, it looks like a scene from a movie. It's surrounded by mountains. It's really beautiful. Prabhupada said, I want to go to Gita Nagari and teach you how to live off the land. So, Prabhupada really wanted us to live off the land. He wanted us to develop communities that could live off the land. So that was one of the ways he wanted, at least that was the way he wanted to begin to establish Varnashram. Yeah. Yeah. Any questions from any of you here in the studio audience? Yes. Yes.
I'm wondering, while our spiritual master is gone, how can we make sure that we get everything we can to understand his mission?
The question is, how, while your guru is alive, how can you get everything you can to understand his mission? You may not understand it completely until he leaves. Because then it's like, now you have to understand it. Now, right now, if you don't understand it, it still goes on. But after he goes, if you don't understand it, it doesn't. So you're forced. So maybe you'll never will completely understand it. Yeah. But every spiritual master has the same mission, to spread Krishna consciousness in any way possible. Really the mission is compassion. Because compassion means that there are people who don't have Krishna, and I want to give them Krishna. So, if you understand the heart of every guru is compassion, and you develop that same compassion, then naturally you're aligned with their mission, and it'll just happen. One of the most amazing things about Srila Prabhupada's life was how he ended his life.
Одна из самых удивительных вещей касаемо жизни Прабхупады,
And
закончил свою жизнь.
I think we could say that Prabhupada's compassion was such that he couldn't stop preaching even right up to a few hours before he was leaving his body.
Я думаю, можем сказать, что сострадание Шрилы Прабхупады было таковым, что он не мог прекратить проповедовать буквально
You know,
часов до того, как он оставил.
you know this story about where Prabhupada is going in his next life? Do you know that story?
И вы знаете историю о том, куда Шрила Прабхупада теперь отправился в свою следующую
You may know the story, but you may not realize you know the story until I tell the story, and then you'll say, "Oh, I know that story."
молиться. Знаете эту историю, но не осознаете это до того, как я ее расскажу.
So, one devotee was with Prabhupada's secretary, and he said, "Where's Prabhupada going in his next life? Or where's he going after he leaves his body?"
Ученик Шрилы Прабхупады и секретарь спрашивал, куда же Прабхупада отправится после того, как оставит тело.
And the servant said, "I don't know. Let's go ask him."
Точнее, это спросили секретаря, и он сказал, я не знаю, пойдем спросим.
And they went and asked Prabhupada.
И он отправился и спросил Прабхупаду.
Prabhupada said, I'd like to go to the hellish planets and preach.
И Прабхупада ответил, я думаю о том, чтобы отправиться, я бы хотел отправиться на адские планеты и проповедовать.
Sometimes it's said that there are devotees who never go back to Godhead, they only stay in the material world and preach.
Но это говорится, что есть преданные, которые никогда не отправляются в верховный мир, они остаются здесь.
Anyway, that was Prabhupada's desire, according to this story.
Так или иначе, в соответствии с этой историей, таково было желание.
Interesting, huh? So, if we want to understand the heart of Prabhupada, then all we have to do is understand compassion. And if we develop compassion, then we will perfectly represent him. Right?
И если мы хотим поднять сердце Шрилы Прабхупады,
Yeah.
поднять его сострадание, если мы разовьем это сострадание,
How do you say compassion in Russian?
сострадание,
It sounds like Shastradan. Sastradan. Say it again.
сострадание,
Sastradanya. Nye? Shastradanye. Shastradanye. Nye.
So if you develop сострадание,
Then that's the mission. That's the heart of every guru.
в этом заключается сострадание, заключается миссия.
And you can say, well, if you want to get close to Prabhupada, become compassionate. Shastradanye.
То есть если вы хотите быть ближе к Шриле Прабхупаде, станьте сострадательным.
And then you'll be one with Prabhupada in heart.
Тогда сердце будет
And that's why we feel close to Prabhupada when we share Krishna consciousness.
И поэтому мы чувствуем себя рядом с Прабхупадой, когда делимся Кришной Кришной,
Mm.
чувствуем близость к Прабхупаде.
Mm. Mathura has two questions, but I'll take the second one. What does it mean to pay back the debt of your guru?
У Матхура у меня есть два вопроса, я отвечу на второй. Что означает отплатить долг своему гуру?
It means you can never pay back the debt.
Это означает, что вы никогда не
And so you try to serve his mission in an attempt to pay back the debt.
И пытаясь отплатить этот долг, вы стараетесь изо всех сил служить ему миссии.
And so you always try to serve the mission.
Можно сказать, вы всегда
So you're always indebted.
Потому что вы всегда остаетесь в долгу.
That's what it means.
Вот что это значит.
Now, my dear devotees, you know how fortunate you are?
Дорогие преданные,
You get to help Prabhupada spread Krishna consciousness.
насколько вы удачливы, у вас есть возможность помочь Шриле Прабхупаде распространять сознание Кришны.
One of Prabhupada's godbrothers was glorifying Prabhupada.
Один из духовных братьев прославлял Прабхупаду.
He said, Prabhupada's kirtan is so great and so wide.
Он сказал, киртан Прабхупады такой великий, такой широкий,
And so special and so powerful
и настолько особенный и могущественный.
that if I could just be a kartal player in that grand kirtan, I would consider that the success of my life.
Если бы я мог быть просто караталистом в этом великом киртане, я бы чувствовал, что моя жизнь полностью
So,
успешна.
if we can be of a little assistance to Prabhupada in spreading his mission, that's glorious. Isn't it?
И если бы мы могли хотя бы немного помогать Шриле Прабхупаде в его миссии, тогда бы это был полный успех.
So, and that way, we are all fortunate.
Таким образом, мы все очень удачливы.
Shastradanya? How do you know Russian? Similar word. Oh, okay. Okay. Slavic language. Similar. Okay. Okay, we're going to end class here. And I hope that has helped you connect a little more deeply to Srila Prabhupada.
Надеюсь, что это помогло вам немного глубже
And that's what this celebration is for.
именно для этого предназначено это празднование.
And we'll talk more about this in Govardhan in February.
И мы будем больше говорить об этом на Говардхане в феврале.
When you're all, of course, I know you're all coming there, so I don't have to say anything more. But we'll talk about it more there. Okay?
Что вы все туда приедете, поэтому не нужно больше ничего не говорить, вы все будете там.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Разберись Махатма Прабхупада.
Jai ki jai. Jai. You know that the devotees are on a walk and Prabhupada would say something, and the devotees would go, Jai! Say something else, Jai! And they were like in the mood of jaiing. Jai everything, So Prabhupada was playing with them because they were saying Jai. It's not like, when Krishna consciousness takes over the world, then we'll have a big guard dog, like some dog was on the beach. We'll have a big dog like that to protect us. Prabhupada said that. And devotees said, Jai! And Prabhupada said, we're not going to have a dog. He was just playing with them. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanandi. So the next class is on Facebook. If you want to join, we'll give us a few minutes and we'll set it up. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada. Jai Go Premanandi. Hare Hare. Wow, 3 classes on Prabhupada. What more could you ask for? And they were all different, right? Sort of, kind of, maybe, yeah. I think we're going to need to plug the phone in.
Okay. So
Figure that one out.